Twitter founder and CEO Jack Dorsey is officially stepping down. The company's chief technology officer, Parag Agrawal, is taking over. He was appointed by Twitter's board of directors in a unanimous vote. Described as a close friend of Dorsey's, Agrawal began his career at the company as an engineer. In a statement Monday, Dorsey praised Agrawal, saying, quote, "My trust in Parag as Twitter's CEO is deep. His work over the past 10 years has been transformational. I'm deeply grateful for his skill, heart, and soul. It's his time to lead." For more, let's bring in Wired editor-at-large Stephen Levy. Excuse me there, Stephen. Stephen is also the author of several books, most recently, Facebook, The Inside Story. And Stephen, in that resignation letter, Jack Dorsey talked about the limits for Twitter while it was founder-led. He said, quote, "It is critical that a company stand on its own, free of its founder's influence or direction." A little surprising coming from a founder. So what do you think he means by that?
Well, I think what he was saying is that Twitter does need change, and because he carries so much weight as the founder, that he has to leave. But as you know, that's sort of against sort of the conventional wisdom of Silicon Valley, which determines that only a founder can make significant changes to a company to really deeply change its culture. Otherwise, the changes they make will kind of bounce off.
You know, Twitter employees have praised Dorsey for being a visionary, but he's also been called the laissez-faire CEO. Did this decision to step down come as a surprise, given what we know about him?
Well, not really. I do describe him in ways a Hamlet of Silicon Valley, because the way he always vacillated about making changes in content moderation on Twitter. But in this case, in March 2020, Jack cut a deal with activist investors who basically wanted him out because he's the CEO of two public companies. He founded a great company called Square, which is now a $100 billion company. And Jack always felt that he could run Twitter and Square at the same time. The activist investors didn't like that. They thought that maybe with Jack out, they can get someone in there who'll be friendlier to Wall Street. And the deal they cut put some people on the board and actually started a process that led to a search for a successor. So as far as I was concerned, the writing was on the wall a little over a year ago that Jack was on his way out.
Stephen, what do you think Dorsey's legacy will be here? Twitter has had so much influence on the culture, and it's had a lot of criticism for spreading misinformation.
That's right. Well, I think, first of all, we have to give him amazing credit for starting this platform that gave anyone the chance on impulse, for better or for worse, to say whatever they wanted and put it out to the world. So that's something significant. I think people remember, how Twitter grew and how it didn't grow quite enough. It never reached the billion-plus level of some places like Facebook. So it's a mixed legacy, but a super significant one.
So tell us about his replacement, Parag Agrawal. Growth is obviously a goal for him coming in. Where do you think he's going to take the company?
Well, I think he's going to be a leader in the mold of Sundar Pichai of Google, a technical person, went to the same college, this college that the Institute of Technology in India, which has delivered several major CEOs. And he's technically oriented, a serious fellow. He's close with Jack. And I think that he will be friendly with Wall Street, all signs point to him making some really good changes. I think he was behind some of the changes we saw recently as Twitter tries to move to more of a subscription company than one that gets its revenue solely from advertising.
We talked a little bit about misinformation. Certainly, Twitter and other social media companies have been under scrutiny over the past few years on this. Do you think that this new leadership will take a different approach when it comes to regulating and moderating content?
Well, I think they're going to keep trying. Maybe they'll be more decisive, but the problems are really, really intense. One thing that they're trying to do, without a lot of success, is to get rid of these tweets, particularly harassing ones, from people who just sign up, create multiple tweets, some of them bots, and just basically attack anyone who says something controversial.
Stephen Levy, editor-at-large with Wired. Stephen, thank you.
Thank you.